Hi, welcome to Dr. VASU'S lectures. In continuation of our topic on C language, now we are going to discuss operating system and computer languages. Let us start with the programs. We call a programs or in general a software means it is a set of programs which are used to do a particular task. Here they are classified into two types. One is system software, that is we call it as an operating system. Second one, it is an application software. Coming to the system software or operating system, there are many operating systems like DOS, Windows, Unix, Linux, Mac. And coming to the application software, its applications are varied in different places, and many places we are going to have this application software. We'll discuss each one by one now. Operating system. Let us start with the operating system. We generally simply call it as OS or operating system. It is a low-level software. It means it goes very nearer to the computer hardware elements and does the required operations. So that's why we call it as a very low-level software. And it supports the computer's basic functions. We have certain basic functions in the computer, like input devices, output devices are connected, how they are connected, they should be connected, how they should perform, and all these things are taken care of by the operating system. Controlling all the connected devices. We have so many connected devices like input devices and output devices, we call them. They are your keyboard, mouse, printer, scanner, a modem. Likewise, we can connect a mic. We connect many devices. The controlling of all these devices are done by this operating system. It receives and performs various tasks from the user. We give commands, or depending on the commands we give, that is from the user, this computer performs. Suppose I want to play an audio file. So it plays and it gives out the output in the form of a sound. Suppose I play a video file. It gives on the monitor, on the screen, we get a video. So likewise, depending on the operations we do, it performs accordingly. We have various operating systems and very popular. These are disk operating system. Very beginning, this disk operating system was used. It is called a character user interface. Using the characters only, that is by just typing, we use it to perform all the operations in the DOS. Next, a revolution in the computer world is Windows. This Windows is a GUI, a graphic user interface. We call it as GUI. There, with the help of pictures and icons, we are able to perform these operations. Suppose I want to open a file. We go and click one particular icon. It opens a file and it opens a folder. Likewise, GUI operates. So Windows has become very popular, and majority of the systems are being installed with Windows. Later, we have other operating systems like Linux, Unix, and Mac, Apple computers, Mac. All these are various operating systems. So, like, share, and comment, and please do remember and subscribe to Dr. VASU'S lectures and get more videos. Thank you. So coming to the next set of application, that is software, application software. This application software is one, it is to carry out the tasks given by the user. Whatever the user want to perform certain operations using the computer, they are performed by the computer. So here tasks to carry out various applications. It varies. Our applications or the tasks given by the user are varied, very many. Like a railway reservation system. Suppose you go to the railway station to reserve a ticket. There, we use a certain screen and we give our details like name, age, etc. And we get a ticket. We reserve our ticket. So this is one particular application. Likewise, there are banking applications. We are seeing so many, all the banks are being implementing different net banking applications. All this comes under this category. Hospital administration, starting from the patient coming into the hospital and discharged from the hospital, everything is being taken care of by this hospital administration software. It takes care of how when the patient comes, what is his age, what are his problems, everything. All these are taken up by this software. Educational. So all the schools and colleges, for the maintenance of the colleges or the schools, also the educational purpose. So the audio-visual device, audio-visual files are being developed, and audio-visual systems are being developed for the students for understanding more. So the educational purpose, business purposes, hotel applications, so many applications. All these applications are being taken care of by this application software. Another thing, and generally in person, we will be using the word processing software, or we call them as the text editors. Like I want to write a letter, or I want to write a document. So for this, we use is one particular type of application. That is, some applications like Microsoft Word is one which we generally use for writing a letter or to keep a document. Lotus Word Pro and Notepad. These are all, there are so many. These are only a few examples. Word processing software and WordPad. All this comes under text editors. Apple Works. That is for Mac computers. So next comes graphics software. Photoshop and CorelDRAW. These are very famous, a few famous application software which are used for the development of graphics. So spreadsheet software to do certain calculations and presentations, like to do certain calculations, we'll be using this spreadsheet software. There are Microsoft Excel, Apple Numbers, are a few type of spreadsheet software. Right. Next, for presentation software, again, for the presentation which you are seeing is developed by one application like that. So this application is developed by Microsoft PowerPoint. So presentation software like Microsoft PowerPoint or Prezi, Google Slides are a few to name this presentation software. Next comes web browsers. We have been browsing the internet for varied applications, for varied purposes. So here, many web browsers are there, and to name a few, Google Chrome is one, Internet Explorer and Opera and Mozilla Firefox. These are a few. All these are actually developed using a certain language, and using a language, a set of programs are being written, and they are used for a particular purpose. In continuation, say database software. Suppose we have certain data and we have to keep it somewhere, and whenever we want some information from it, we can retrieve, or sometimes we may keep some more data into it. So to utilize that particular data for a purpose, depending on our requirement, we use certain database software. There are Oracle, MySQL, or a few softwares which are used for these database applications. Microsoft Access is another one. right? Multimedia software. As we are telling here, to play a song, a audio file, we need a software. Or to play a video file, a video application, we need a software. So for these purposes, this multimedia software are used. So here there are Windows Media Player and VLC Media Player, are to name a few, right? These are multimedia softwares. Next, either PC or personal computers or mobile games. To develop this, there are so many thousands, even lakhs of games are there, mobile games and PC games. So all the games are being developed using certain software, and these are all, each one is an application. So enterprise applications, like enterprises, as we already have seen, for banking, pharma, hotel industries, all these industries are being using these applications, like they are called enterprise applications. Embedded systems. Suppose you have taken an electronic item, and you want to do certain operations using that. We use some certain programming or some sort of things are used for it. For this, so the electronic devices are used with embedded systems. So this is again an application of this software. So all these things, whatever we have seen, are all different types of applications using the software. So depending on our requirement, we'll be writing a set of programs, and these set of programs will help to do that particular type of task, like a PowerPoint presentation or a Word, like that. So to develop these applications, software programming is required. Computer languages are used. Different languages are there, and we'll see what are they and all. So different languages are used to develop these applications. Depending on the user requirement, these applications are developed. Next comes computer languages. The computer languages can be basically classified into three types: machine language, assembly language, and high-level language. So coming to these three languages, we'll see one by one. Machine language is one which is very nearer to the computer, and the computer can understand only the machine language, which are in binary numbers, zeros and ones. Only with the zeros and ones, you have to write a program, and the computer can understand only the program which is written using this zeros and ones, binary coding. Humanly, it is impossible to remember a code which is written using zeros and ones numbers. So writing a program in a machine language is highly, it's impossible to write. So there are certain methods to do and how to program a computer, and we'll see one by one. Next comes assembly language. A next step, a further higher level compared to the machine language. Machine language, you may call it as a very low level language, which is nearer to which the computer understands, and it is at a very low level. Next, at a higher level, we have this assembly language. This assembly language uses a set of English-like words, and using these words, we'll be doing a set of programs, certain programming. And these words are for addition, add, subtraction, sub, or for moving some data items from one place to other, move. Like this, we use a certain set of words to do a particular task. Next comes the higher level language. High level language is one which is very compatible for the human beings, for us, and very convenient for us to use. It is at a very high level. High level in the sense, this is at the lowest level, and this is at the middle level, and this is at the higher level. Next, this is This uses English-like sentences, right? Like print, if, for, do, while, etc. The words which we can easily remember and we can easily reproduce or use these words in writing a particular program. So they are easy to understand. Understanding a print, I want to get a printout of a certain document. So it's very easy to understand, you will remember and reproduce. You can use it for whenever you want it. So this print statement is useful. Similarly, the other, we will see all these elements when they come. Next, can be used by anyone can use it. Just can understand this purpose of these words, and wherever we want, we can use these words, right? So we'll see one by one. Next comes translating. So here the thing is, we the humans can write or understand the English-like words like this, but the computer can understand only the machine language, which is in zeros and ones. So there is a communication gap between us and the computers. So this gap should be filled. This gap is filled with the help of a translator. Like the people which, when two people are communicating, two people of different regions and different languages, when they communicate, they take the help of a communicator, a translator, an interpreter, we call it as. So this translator translates the language into one other's language, and which is understandable by each one. So here also we have that sort of translation programming, translation system. So let us see one by one. Computers cannot understand the instructions written in English like statements. As we have seen, it can understand only zeros and ones. So which are written using any high-level language, computer cannot understand. So translating these programs are done by a compiler, an interpreter, or an assembler. These are the translating. These are again a set of programs which are used to transform or convert from our English-like sentences to machine language statements. So these are the set of programs again, but we call them as a compiler or an interpreter or assembler. Coming to the compiler or interpreter, these converts the high-level language to machine language. The high-level language which we have seen earlier are written by us, are converted into machine language. Next comes assembler. Also we have seen assembly language, which we called it as a middle-level language. This middle-level language or assembly programs should be converted again into the low-level language like machine language. So for this, we use an assembler. It converts assembly language programs to machine language. We'll see one by one how they work. Here, a compiler. Let us see a compiler. Compiler is one which uses our English-like statements, and it has to convert them into the computer which is in the understandable form. So computer understands only this machine code which is in binary. Binary in the sense zeros and ones. Zeros and ones are called binary digits. So here the English-like sentences which are written by us should be converted from this to machine code. It is the purpose of the process of the compiler. It does this operation which are in English-like sentences. The compiler takes up and converts them into machine code. This computer understands the machine code and does the required operation. Suppose I want to add two numbers. This addition is written in English-like sentences. The computer understands it because it has the required code in machine code. It understands and it does that addition operation and gives out the output. Finally, this computer gives out the output to the user. Okay, so we finally get the work done. So like this, the compiler works. Let us see an assembler, what an assembler does. Here, assembly language, again, it is something like English-like sentence words, and the computer has to understand. Here, the object code or machine code is developed. Here we use not like high-level language words, but if certain words like add, move, that sort of a middle-level language words. So these words are taken up by the assembler. This assembler takes these assembly language words and converts them into the object code or machine code. It again does the same operation and gives out the output. When you want to compare this assembler and compiler, here it is. It takes up, the compiler also takes up the English-like sentences, and here also it takes the English-like sentences, but these words are a bit at a low level, and the compiler converts high-level language into machine code, whereas assembler converts assembly language into computer machine code. That is the difference. Okay. Next, let us see a compiler and an interpreter. The compiler, already we have seen, it converts the high-level language statements into machine code. This is the picture. Okay. So high-level language is converted into the computer understandable machine code. Here, interpreter also does the same thing. Interpreter also does this, takes up the English-like sentences which are in high-level language and converts into computer. So then what is the difference? The compiler and interpreter both are doing the same thing operation, but we are calling this as compiler, whereas we are calling this as interpreter. Why? What's the difference? Here, the compiler creates an object code file. It creates a file. It takes up the entire program, whatever the program you have written, entire program is taken up at once and converts it into a file. And this entire file is read by the computer and it gives out the output. Whereas in the case of interpreter, no file is created. It takes up one sentence after one statement after another statement. And each statement is converted the computer. So file is not created, whereas in the case of compiler, it creates an object file and it does the operation. So this is the basic difference between the compiler and interpreter. And also let us see, it converts the entire program at once and gets the object code file. The machine code file is created. It converts the program one line at a time while running. When you have given a set of 100 lines, suppose, it takes up only one line and converts. That's it. Object code is generated. Machine code or object code is generated here. Whereas we call it as an interpreter or translator, right? No object code is generated. But here it is memory efficient. It uses memory efficiently. But coming to this compiler, we use a compiler for C or C++ languages. When you are using C, C++, this entire program, whatever program you have written in C or C++, is converted into an object file and the computer does the operation. Whereas this interpreter is used in the case of Python, Perl, these languages. This Python is uses an interpreter. So it converts only one line at a time. So the better performance is when you are using a compiler, the better performances can be expected. The performance is good. Debugging at runtime. That is, here when you are running one sentence, one statement after another statement, it has to, you have to wait for the completion of the previous statement, and then again you have to give one data. Suppose you are giving a data, and this data should be, you have to wait till that time has come. So you wait, and finally you will be giving the data whenever the time requires. Whereas in the case of a compiler, you will be giving the entire data, object file is taken up by the computer, and it takes the data and does the operations here. So the system is slow here in the case of interpreter. That's why it takes a bit time for the interpretation and all. So this is the basic difference between the compiler and interpreter. Now, next, there comes the programming languages. We talk about the high-level languages. There are many high-level languages like BASIC, Fortran, Pascal, COBOL, C, C++, Java, Python, etc. These are all high-level languages, means they use high-level English like sentences. High-level in the sense, high-level language we call it as, but the sentences, the words which are in very usable or understandable words are used. So these are all various high-level languages. Now we are going to focus on this C programming. We want to discuss everything about this C programming in all the lessons we are going to have. Now, C language. Coming to the C language, we call it as a middle level language. In the sense, it is almost nearer to the machine code. It's not very far off from the machine programming. So we call it as a middle level. It's a general purpose program. C language programs can be used for any type of applications, maybe scientific, or maybe for business purpose, or for some whatever may be that. For all purposes, general purpose, we can use this C language. It is a compiler based, already we have seen. It is a procedural. It follows a certain procedures. Using the certain procedures, the programming is done. We call it as a structured programming language. It follows a structure, right? Defined a set of rules, and we'll see all this in detail later. Get close with the hardware. It is, as I said, it is very nearer to the hardware, so the performance is very good. It's powerful and flexible. So this is about the languages and the operating systems. We'll see another topic in the next video. Thank you.